Hey, I'm Giselle, and this is my channel, Dizzy. Maybe I shouldn't crack my fingers in the middle of the intro. Hey, I'm Giselle, and this is my channel, Dizzy Doggo, where I authentically and awkwardly share my life with you. In this video, I will be doing so by sharing a little bit about Frida Kahlo and diving deep into one of her works. If you stay till the end of the video, I'll also be sharing some prompts, and I'll also be sharing some of the paintings that I made using the prompts from the last video about Jacob Lawrence. Frida Kahlo is a self-taught Mexican artist who was actively making work around the 1920s and up until her death in 1954. Her paintings primarily consisted of self-portraits, and she basically was kind of using herself as a case study for exploring many different ideas: post-colonialism, gender, sexuality, trauma, class, spirituality, disability, and race. The artistic movement that she was a part of is kind of up for debate. Some call her a surrealist, but that was really a categorization that was imposed on her after this French guy, Andre Breton, or however you say his name, went to visit Mexico for the first time. I think it was on his first visit. At some point he met Frida Kahlo and he encountered her work, and he described it as surrealist and kind of patronized her a little bit as well in the way that he described the way that she was making her work in total ignorance of the surrealist movement that was happening in Europe. That movement that really didn't have anything to do with Frida and the context that she found herself in. They thought I was a surrealist, but I wasn't. I never painted dreams. I painted my own reality. If there is anything surreal about her work, I'd say it comes from the miracles recorded in her collection of over 2,000 retablos. Retablos are a kind of devotional art used in Catholic traditions in Latin America. There are different kinds of retablos. There's like sculptures and paintings, but the ones that Frida Kahlo was interested in were mostly exvotos. Exvotos are small paintings that are usually on pieces of metal or tin, and they would have like a caption at the bottom describing this experience that was maybe dangerous or life-threatening, that they managed to survive, and people would give these paintings as offerings to different saints. This is the exvoto that was made in gratitude of Frida Kahlo's survival of the accident that she had as a teenager that really changed her life. I think it's really important to acknowledge this regional specific influence that Frida had, and not just try to impose European art history onto people that are in Latin America. This is a side note, but that's something that really frustrated me about learning about Latin American art history, is that it's always seen through the lens of Europeans as opposed to allowing people to have influences that are specific to their own context. So if you want to learn more about the culture of retablos in Latin America, I'm gonna link a couple of videos that helped me in the research process that were super interesting. So to get back into Frida Kahlo's work, we're gonna look at one of her paintings called Roots. This painting is oil on metal. That already shows the influence that she was taking from the exvoto tradition, not just the kind of narrative content, but also the form itself. So it's oil on metal, it's 11 7/8 inches by 19 3/4 inches, and it was made in 1943. So now we're just gonna start with some super obvious observations, just looking and describing what I see. There is a figure reclining. A figure is kind of like art historical talk, but basically a figure, when you're referring to a painting or an artwork, is just like a person. You don't say it's a person because it isn't an actual human being standing in front of you, so you say a figure, which to me is just kind of like a little bit extra. So I could say there's a woman lying down, and it's presumably Frida Kahlo herself. And I think you understand that I don't mean that it's like Frida Kahlo is literally lying down in front of me. That would be kind of spooky. Alright, so there's a woman lying down. She is in a some sort of dry landscape. It's like rocky. It's either rocky or just like really dry, like clay earth or something, or like a desert. And there are vines growing out of this person's body, kind of like out of their torso. There's a cutaway section of their torso where you can see these green lush vines emerging from. All these plants are going downwards towards the earth. None of them are growing upwards. And her hair is just like also just falling down in that same kind of direction. So there's this connection to nature that is very apparent. But there's also something about this painting that is a little bit disturbing in this connection to nature. It's not like harmonious and beautiful. I mean, it is beautiful, but it's not kind of, it doesn't feel very uplifting to me. There is a heaviness to it in the way that you can feel the gravity of it. Literally things are being pulled down. And then there's like the red roots slash veins that are like pouring into the earth. But at the same time, her face is so serene. She doesn't look like she's in pain or anything. She's just kind of like resting, which is really like an interesting contrast that we're seeing between the harshness of this landscape and then the kind of gentleness of her demeanor. It's kind of like almost like a surrendering to what's happening to her. She needs to be consumed in order for these things to grow. When I look at this artwork, it's impossible for me to separate it from who Frida Kahlo is as a person. People always try and separate the creation from the creator. And I think that that is impossible, and I think it's stupid. Maybe this is an unpopular opinion, but how can I separate something that came out of a person? And it also just to throw in my little Christian 2 cents in there, I know that God created me, and my identity is inextricably interwoven from Him as my creator. And so when I think about me creating something, the thing that I created is inextricably interwoven with who I am. She gave us permission to access her life in a really intimate way, and she did that until the very end of her life. And she knew that she was going to die young, and she knew that she shouldn't have survived the things that she experienced. And so I think she operated out of this place of gratitude, but then also pain and confusion, and yeah, it's just complicated. And I think that that is demonstrated in this painting, that our relationship to life and death is complicated. So on that really heavy note, I'm gonna share a prompt that will maybe help you operate in the same way that Frida did and be able to just be vulnerable. What are stories or traditions you are interested in preserving? What experiences are you grateful to have overcome? What are some things that serve as symbols of those experiences? I guess the first thing that comes to my mind is cooking for some reason, though. It's not an artistic tradition or a religious tradition, but it is a cultural tradition that really shapes my identity. Food has been one of the biggest ways that I feel like I can be connected to my identity as a Dominican woman. Like I mentioned in my last video, I've been trying to research the foods that were grown on my family's farm in the Dominican Republic, and how those foods are foods that we still eat to this day. And even though I've never lived in the Dominican Republic, I still have access to those foods. And that's also a way to just like nourish my body and nourish myself. And if we're thinking about healing, those things are really interrelated. I've always just admired Frida Kahlo's ability to contextualize the trauma that she's experienced, and also just be open about the fact that she was a woman living with a disability, and that she had this really fraught relationship with her body. For me, as someone who has survived cancer, that is something that I really resonate with. Sorry to just drop that bomb on you. I never know how to say it. Like, should I work my way up to it? But I really do talk about it very openly, because that experience was something that shaped who I am. So yeah, I'm grateful to have overcome that experience. More recently, especially during a pandemic, during a health crisis, I've just been thinking about healing and our bodies and illness. I was a teenager at the time when I was sick, and my hospital had a prom. They have a prom every year, and at that party they had people that were like painting tattoos on people, or like face painters and stuff. I asked for a hummingbird, and I have a picture of myself at that party with this hummingbird tattoo painted on me. And I feel like that image is an image that I always think about when I think about that experience. And then butterflies as well. Like, I definitely used to pass a lot of time like drawing butterflies and doodling butterflies. And then this woman at my old church, her name is Virginia, God bless her. She was this older woman, and she made me this butterfly, and she talked about how it was like a symbol of like hope, and even though you're going through a hard time, you emerge as a butterfly kind of thing. Let me pull it up. It's in my closet. She made me this, and it's really beautiful. Maybe I'll try and get like better footage of it. But yeah, I don't know. Hummingbirds and butterflies, they're just so beautiful and colorful, and they just make me feel really hopeful. The first time I ever saw hummingbirds in real life was when I went to the Dominican Republic for the first time to our farm, and I saw a hummingbird go up to our mango tree. We have this giant mango tree. They literally just went up to the fruits and drank mango nectar, which I didn't know that hummingbirds eat fruits. I always just thought that they ate flower nectar. So I guess that's almost a way to connect both of those things with like preserving traditions of like food and cooking. Well, I was thinking about cooking specifically, but also agriculture. So I don't know if I'll end up making an artwork for this one, and maybe I'll have to spend some time thinking through it some more. But next time I make a video, I'll share with you what I end up making. And if you end up making anything, please share, please let me know. And in the meantime, you can, I wonder if my head is cut off. I can't see myself right now. But anyways, in the meantime, you can share in the comments as well. But I'm getting the paintings that I made. So I've been painting on cardboard because I don't have canvas. I'm actually not really a painter. My background is in sculpture, and then I was doing performance for a little bit, and then I was drawing. So now I'm teaching myself how to paint because I avoided it at all costs for 4 years, and now I don't have a studio, so I need to continue making somehow. So I've been making these little paintings on cardboard. I haven't been overthinking it at all. This is not like a masterpiece that I'm gonna, put on the wall of a gallery. It's more like sketches, I would say. So it's inspired by my grandpa. Remember I was talking about like the sunlight and stuff. I mean, I'm not super obsessed with this painting, but I do really like the sunlight and how I captured that. This is another one that I made based off of the prompts from the last video. I was talking about how I wanted that like circular composition, and so this is a man bending down to like pick up some flowers as the sun is rising. And again, I'm learning how to paint, so I'm just like experimenting. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed that. Yeah, thanks for watching.